That at all? A little bit. All right, let's get the show on the road. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the AI Salon. Hey, y'all. We have a thin crew here in Denver, a thin but enthusiastic crew. So Leah could not be here tonight, so I am excited to have Ann Murphy of Empowered Fundraiser co-host with me, which is, I think, only fitting because we essentially spent the weekend doing stuff, so we might as well just continue it, right, Ann?
As I said at whatever time, we all live together now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your people wouldn't.
Hello,
leave.
everybody. This is Ivan.
Hey, Ivan. Great.
A
Well,
little late. Sorry, I'm still driving.
all right. Welcome. So let's get rolling here. So if you haven't been to the AI Salon before, welcome. This is the AI Salon. Let me share my screen for a second here. And just, you can all see my screen, yeah?
Yep.
So the AI Salon was started about a year ago as a way to create a community of people who are just crazy enough to start leaning into this AI stuff and figure it out. We describe ourselves as a ragtag group of misfits, ne'er-do-wells, and miscreants who've gathered to explore the uncharted wilderness of generative AI. We're everyone from entrepreneurs to educators, from healthcare workers to creatives and everyone in between. And we go on, and if you go to the AI Salon website, you can read more about who we are and what we do. But the basic idea is that we're choosing to go on this adventure together. And one of the things that's been consistent with this group, even as it's grown, is that it's really a remarkable group of people that are quite remarkable and generous. And we captured our values. When did we do this, Brad? Maybe 6 months ago or something like that. We sort of looked at how the group was evolving and captured those ideals. And so one of the things that's important to us is to go over these at every meeting. Just to remind us, this is who's already in here, and this is who we want in here. And so the values are: curiosity is the first one. We're eager to learn new things, ask questions, and experiment. And that is the state of our industry for probably some time. I'm guessing 2 or 3 years. That's what it's going to require. Next value is generosity. We're willing to share our knowledge, resources, and feedback with others and support each other's growth and development. There's so much to learn we can't possibly keep up. Even if it's obvious to you, it might not be to the person next to you. So share as you learn. And this I'm seeing again and again and again in this community, that people are just willing to help one another. I think that's amazing. I want to keep that up. Exploration. We're excited to try new things, take risks, embrace uncertainty and ambiguity, act as if no one knows what they're doing, because no one knows what they're doing, because everything is changing every month or two or every week. Just having that sense of sort of ongoing wonder, I think is actually critical right now. And then tied closely to that one is collaboration. We look for opportunities to work with others, to exchange ideas, to create something greater than ourselves, find a partner or a posse or a passe, start a project, start 10. We won't judge you, and who knows, you might just make a friend or the next billion-dollar venture. Inclusion, we actively seek out and value diverse perspectives and experiences, recognizing that our differences make us stronger. I believe that more and more every day that passes, this is sort of being brought to life in this group. We create an environment where everyone feels seen, heard, and respected, and where everyone has an equal opportunity to contribute and succeed. And then the final one is empathy. We're mindful of the impact of our work on others. We strive to create work that is respectful, inclusive, and meaningful. AI is one of the most transformative technological advances in humanity. Humans matter. Take each other in. Act from a place of compassion. That one to me just is the one that's the most important, because there's so much fear and anxiety and anger around AI right now, that if we can be a space where people can come in and be scared and be in a place where they're not sure what's going on, I think that's super critical. What's that? Vulnerable. Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So, and you haven't co-hosted before, but talk to me about those values. Do you think we're doing it? Talk to me.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that jumps off the page to me every time is the empathy component. And I oftentimes need to remind myself of it, because I find myself occasionally developing a little bit of a sharp edge around the people who are skeptical or ambivalent, or the ones who are particularly like vocal about AI, generative AI doesn't work for this, that, or the other.
Yep.
And so I remember when Cindy Kuhn came and talked to us, I think it was before Thanksgiving, and we had a conversation about how do you talk to people at Thanksgiving about AI stuff. And she just emphasized that same value about empathy. And it's just a constant reminder for myself of like, okay, I started back there, right? I started a little bit skeptical. Like, I saw the Terminator and all that stuff. I don't know that much about technology. I saw her. And now here I am. I fully drink the Kool-Aid every single night at 7 p.m. And I have to remember that not everybody else is on that journey. And finally, as a result of me being relatively, taking a soft touch at home, my kids asked for a GPT Plus account so they can make GPTs.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a victory. That's great. Well, why don't you introduce yourself for folks who don't know who you are? I know you're a big voice in the community, but I know it looks like we've got some new folks here.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Ann Murphy, and I'm delighted to be here today and talk a little bit about the challenge. So thanks for letting me co-host, Kyle. So I live in Oregon, Corvallis. It turns out that I'm just down the street from Serena, and maybe other folks here too. Corvallis is about halfway between Portland and Eugene. And my subject matter expertise is nonprofit industry, nonprofit fundraising. So I spent 25 years doing that. And then 13 months ago, we launched our own company doing consulting, coaching, and now responsible AI. And so I've been on this, this crazy AI roller coaster of, both existential dread and existential elation, sometimes multiple times in a day. But nothing has captured my, nothing has captured my attention, for lack of a better word, like this has for the longest time. I feel like I've been in like a creative flow state for months and months, and I can only imagine, what the future is going to be like and what we're all capable of, which of course I was deeply reminded of this last weekend. So Ann Murphy, my company is called Empowered Fundraiser Consulting, Coaching, and Responsible AI. Happy
Great.
to be here.
And Ann's gonna walk us through what she and I and a bunch of other folks on the call spend a lot of the week doing later. Hello there. But before we do that, let me jump in and
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Before we get started, I want to do a little housekeeping. So first thing I want to do is I want to acknowledge Tobias for being our sponsor for this month. So Signs and Graphics out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So if you're looking for design and print and all that sort of stuff, oksigns with a Z at gmail.com. Tobias, how you doing? You want to say a few words?
Hello, Kyle. Doing great. Thank you. I appreciate the input, and I also appreciate the even the opportunity to be able to contribute in a small way to what's grown here. I've seen it from like we talked about your first day, pretty much. It's been incredible, and what a group of people. I just absolutely love it. Love everybody and all of everything they do. I still feel very small in this, and so you notice I'm kind of laying back here. But now that I am retired, I hope to spend a lot more time, and hopefully, my goal is within the next 90 days to be able to be a major contributor and help a lot more. So I appreciate it, Kyle. Thanks.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, it means a lot. So one of the things that I'm most excited about is that we can provide this community free of charge, for members. And that's because of supporters like Tobias and individuals. So thank you for that. Thank you for the individual contributors. And then also, if you're into merch and swag, we do have a merch store, and anything you buy there also goes to support the community. And if you somehow got here and haven't been to the Mighty Networks community, this is what we launched. When did we launch this? 2.5 months ago? Something like that? 3 months ago? Huh? Well, 1 month officially. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's new. It's brand new. We are almost at 600 members on this site already. So it's growing incredibly quickly. So let me just go show you some things. If you haven't been there, the values that I was showing earlier are in the Welcome to the Salon section. In the community section, one of my requests is, one of our values is generosity. If you haven't introduced yourself to the community, the people here are really important. So the first section in the community area is introduce yourself. So please drop in and let us know who you are, what you do, what you're into. Are you just beginning this journey? Have you been in it for 30 years? Anything in between. There's a water cooler section. There's a show and tell section. The show and tell section, since it's New Year's, Happy New Year's, everybody. One of the things that would be nice, as we're going through things tonight, fire up your favorite image generation tool and make a Happy New Year's image and drop it in show and tell. Just why don't we get some things going in there tonight? Some people are working with some hyper detail on the skin here, it looks like. But just lots and lots of fun stuff in the show and tell section. And, be generous. Share your prompt. If you've got anything interesting in your prompt, feel free to share your prompt. There's a news section. There's an AI tools and resources section that's got recommendations on large language models, image generation tools, video tools, things like that. So feel free to check that out. And then the next section you'll see down under community are the guilds. And the guilds are sub-communities within the AI Salon that I'm really excited about. So I guess what I'd like to do right now is, let me go through here. What I'd like to do is, anyone who is a current salon, a guild leader, I'd like you to just sort of raise your hand, jump in, and just give us a quick update on your guild and what's your biggest sort of hope for 2024 for your guild and for AI in general. So, Peter, I think I saw you in here. Are you in here?
Yes, I am. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Peter.
Let me tell you a little bit about AI 101. It's a guild kind of dedicated to beginning at AIs, either image generators or text AIs, and starting to learn stuff. So I like to dig in and help people learn new things. So sometimes it's the easy stuff, sometimes it's a little bit harder stuff. For this year, I'd like to get a little bit more structured about the scheduling. Last year, I kind of just was scheduled things kind of at the last minute. And this year, I think I'll be able to do a little bit more structure. So I've got 2 sessions coming up soon. And the first one this year is Thursday at 11 Pacific, noon Mountain, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then another one on the weekend, Saturday the 6th at 7 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Eastern. And those times are in the, if you join the AI 101 space, you'll see those as events there, so you don't have to remember it off the fly. But these will be open sessions, kind of, we'll just figure out what we want to learn about and dig in. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Jane, how are you?
Good. Hello. Hey, everybody. My name is Jane Endicott. I'm the Guild Master for the Writers Guild. We meet every other week for about an hour and kind of talk about how we're using things like ChatGPT and Poe as a writing tool. All different kinds of backgrounds, all different kinds of experience, all different kinds of writing types. And I like to emphasize that it's a writing group that focuses on AI tools and not an AI group that focuses on writing. So the writing is always first. And I'm really excited about the coming year. I'm going to start doing some weekly prompts for the members in the Writers Guild to kind of help them, give them some opportunities to work with those tools and practice with them. And generosity is like a really huge component of the Writers Guild. You know, the thing that might be obvious to you isn't obvious to the person sitting next to you. And so sharing those kind of discoveries and insights is really vital to what we do. And hopefully I'd also like to start doing some like workshops, maybe quarterly, to kind of go further in depth. So it's just been great having our conversations, and everybody brings a lot to it. So really hope you can jump in. Our next meeting will be next Thursday, so come check it out.
Awesome. Great. Ken Bradley, the AI for Business Guild. What are you guys excited about for the new year?
Hey everyone, yeah, I am Ken, and I co-lead the AI for Business Guild with Bradley, who I believe there is in Denver in person at the moment. And we're excited to really build out the community and just have the guild take shape and really find ourselves and what we want the guild to be. We love exploring how AI is used in business, whether that be in an entrepreneurship or an entrepreneurship way, or whether that be in running your business, finding better efficiencies using tools and AI, exploring AI tools, or just how AI is being used in business in general and the trends that we see there. We have a guild meeting every other week opposite of the main AI salon. So we would encourage you to join us. We usually get a pretty good gathering between, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 people at any time to join those guild meetings. And so if you are curious or like to talk and explore how to use AI in a business sense or an entrepreneurship sense, we would love to have you and join the discussion.
Great. Awesome.
And I'll let Brad introduce himself as well.
Great. Do I need to mute and?
All right. Hopefully this comes through. My name is Brad Perkins. I am also, the co-lead for the AI for Business. We typically will have discussions every other Thursday, so hopefully you guys all can come join and join the discussion. Last week, we actually talked about the influx of these AI recording devices and how we're very easily giving up privacy concerns just overnight, and just how it's very helpful, but also we're all recording, multiple people on a call. So it was a fascinating discussion of how that will affect business and how that will affect, feelings at jobs and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the discussions that we are having right now, and planning out some workshops to help out business needs. But look forward to all you guys joining our meetings.
Awesome. I don't know if we've got Pate or Roger here, or Felinda or Scott. If any of you are there, I know we didn't connect before this, but if anyone's on the line, let me know.
I'm here.
Was that Roger?
Yep.
Roger, what are you wacky AI mechanics going to be doing in 2024?
Well, unless we get more participation, not a whole lot more than we're doing in late 2023. It's been pretty quiet. I mean, Peyton and I post stuff on there, but other than that, it's a lot of crickets.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you're interested in geeking out, I mean, the thing about the guilds is it requires participation. So yeah, jump in and participate. Are you guys planning any events coming up, Roger?
We did have one about a little more than 2 weeks ago, where I was talking about some recent work on explainability and interpretability. There was a moderate amount of interest online, but like a whopping 3 people actually showed up. So
okay, all right, cool. All right. Well, so we need more. We need more groups.
We certainly be open to it if there were, open to having events if there were interest.
Okay, awesome, terrific. Okay, cool. So check those out. So now I am excited to announce that as of tonight, we also have an education guild. And this is one that a lot of people have asked about, and we have 2 co-leads, Stacy and Matt, Mr. K. So I would love to turn it over to you both and have you introduce yourselves and talk about your vision for the Education Guild. I am thrilled that we're doing this. It's funny, I have not been historically super passionate about education issues, but all of a sudden in the past 6 months, I'm insane about it. And so I'm really excited to have both of you because you're both already leaders in the space. So I'll turn it over to you, Stacy and Matt. Take it away. Really looking forward to hearing what you're planning on doing with the new guild.
Thanks, Kyle. We're super excited to be finally getting it started. And I'm Stacy. I've been an educator for about 14 years now. Super into AI. I've been using ChatGPT since it pretty much first came out. And when I first used it, my mind was blown, not just because of what it could do, but what I realized was going to happen to education instantly. And I'm not surprised that there are a lot of teachers that are hesitant to adapt it, but I'm hoping my goal, and hopefully Matt and I haven't talked about 2024 goals yet, but for 2024, I would love to grow a group of educators in the guild who are excited about using it, not just using it to make their lives better, but to also implement it in the classroom and ultimately teach students how to use it. Because like the seniors right now, if they're not using it once they get into college, it's going to be a totally different world for them. And everybody who is using it is just going to have a leg up. Plus, it's a lot of fun. So I'm just really excited to grow the guild. All the other groups that I belong to, there are a lot of naysayers, which I'm not against people who are afraid of it, but digging through all of those comments, weeding them out, trying to get to the good stuff, it just is very time consuming. So I'm just hoping that our guild is filled with people who really enjoy it and embrace it.
A bunch of adventurers. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Great to see you. Mr. K.
Oh, there it is. I haven't been on a Google Meet on my phone in a long time, so I apologize. Couldn't find the button to talk. Hi, everyone. My name's Matt. He keeps calling me Mr. K because that's my name on TikTok is Mr. K all day. So if you are on TikTok, I advise you to go ahead and give me a follow, especially if you're curious about how to use AI in the classroom, because literally that is 99.9% of my content.
Oh, that's not fair.
on.
You also spend some time making fun of your students. Come on.
Absolutely. Wait, I have one from today that I need to edit down. But it actually is something I wanted to talk about here because it segues perfectly from what Stacy talked about, getting students comfortable with AI. So Kyle, I am happy to share with you and everybody here today that I attempted and did the first part of my getting students into prompting. So I put up an image prompt, which I'm going to share this all in the salon on the show and tell. I made an image prompt of a ridiculous looking Frosty the Snowman flying like Superman because I'm obsessed with Superman. I did all this stuff. I put all these crazy details in there. I put the picture up on the screen. I let the kids look at it for 5 minutes and write down as many details as they could. And then I taught them what prompting is, why AI needs prompting, and we went over all the basics of prompting. And so I gave them the starter. I said, the first sentence of your prompt is create an image, okay? And then I said, the rest is for you to fill in with as many details as you can. And I said, the more detailed you are, the closer your image is gonna get to mine. So we just did the writing aspect today, and the kids are gonna use Canva's AI generator tomorrow to plug in their prompts and see how closely their images come. Some of them finished early today, so they started plugging it into Canvas already, and they were like, this looks nothing like what I said. And I said, well, this, and so what's interesting is when we do this though, that's where I get to say to them, this is the point I've been trying to tell you, that AI is not perfect. Just because you make a perfect prompt does not mean that AI is going to give you the perfect results. This is all building towards my ultimate goal of a lesson for these kids, which is to realize that you cannot use ChatGPT AI to just copy and paste. That is what every single teacher is scared about with AI. Having the kids use the AI to write the paper, turn it in, and that's going to be the work of the future. And so my goal is to take the opposite approach. I joked with my wife, we talk about this all the, I talk about AI with her too much. She hates me for it. She's like, oh my God, I'm tired of hearing it. But
welcome to the club.
That's with probably everybody in this group. So, but the idea is kind of like how the European countries approach alcohol. They are introduced to it earlier, so they don't have as many issues and things like that. They learn it earlier. So my goal is to teach these kids about it earlier, to teach these kids responsibility with it. And I also am encouraging everybody to show its shortcomings. And I think that's an important part, is when we see these like TikToks and things like that, it's about all these things that are like great and work and are perfect, but it took how many tries to get to that. So my goal with doing this with the students is showing them that you can't get the perfect results the first time, and you have to really build, and you have to almost put as much work into a prompt as you would into a paper. And so that's where, exactly what Stacy said, that's where the critical thinking skills come in. And so that all plays a part into this. So my goal, you know, and we didn't get to talk about goals, so, but we are very much on the same page here. But I'm really hoping that this place can be a place where we can come together and show teachers new to AI and teachers who've been using AI, show them what it can do in the classroom for you and for your students, okay? And also just like building this community. Like, I joined TikTok and I was blown away by how many people, like how supportive the teachers I follow on TikTok are. I mean, people that have 50,000, 200,000 followers, they're responding to messages from me, like actual legit responses. And I'm like, who am I to these people? But they respond and they are very supportive in that environment. And I think teachers by trade, teachers by trade are supportive. I make the joke to other teachers all the time that our job is literally, we look at another teacher who did something really well and we steal it and take it for ourselves. We share ideas, we borrow ideas. There's a whole website, Teachers Pay Teachers, that is built around that idea. Look at this cool thing I did, use it for yourself. So this space can be like an AI space for that. And my personal future plans this year, I want to start making digital products and things that are geared towards helping teachers that are hesitant with AI get comfortable with it. Because you know, those of you that follow me on TikTok know this, but like my school district is in the freaking stone age when it comes to anything about AI. And it makes me so nervous because right now we have kids in high school and 7th grade and up who are getting in trouble because they're getting caught using AI. Right. Meanwhile, we're not taking that as a learning opportunity. We're just, you know, no, you're in trouble, you can't do that. And I think that's the wrong approach, because that's going to make the kids only want to use it more in the future.
Yep.
If we've never learned anything about human psychology, the more you say, don't do that, don't do that. I mean, I see it with my toddler. Hey, don't throw that on the floor. Okay, I'll throw my entire dinner on the floor. What? I'll show you. So, so that is like my goal for this group and myself personally, is to just spread that message that like AI is not this big scary thing, and that our students need to get used to using it, because like Stacy said, they're going to be using these way more than we are using them right now. And it is so incredibly important to be able to prepare them for that. And like I said, I know my school is not the only school in the country like that. So it makes me nervous that we're going to have so many schools out there that are just clueless when it comes to AI. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to prevent
I think
that
it's
in
great.
my area.
Yep.
You know, and
That's awesome. Awesome, Matt. Well, really excited to have you along, and excited to see what you do. And yeah, I think it's, you know, as you said, Stacy, I think it's about building a community of educators who are into this, and sort of grow it from the people that are, you know, actively adopting it out, you know, rather than trying to convince everyone else. It's like, let's have people opt into this group. So I'm really excited about that. Okay, great. It's perfect segue to what we're going to talk about. Before I do that, two people have their hands raised, Kath and Ivan. So Kath, did you have a question or a comment? If you did, you're muted. All right, your hand's no longer raised.
So sorry, that was an error on my part. So sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Just
and-
agreeing as a former teacher's aide with what Mr. K said.
Awesome. Ivan, question or comment?
Yeah, only to, maybe I already introduced myself to everybody, but one more time. I'm Peruvian. I'm the only Peruvian in the group. I work as a IT technician. I'm an independent contractor. I'm getting old and trying to change careers. So I'm thinking to start in TikTok a news channel, AI for dummies, for people that is not technical and they're all like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. K, I'm gonna need your advice in some pointers, and yeah, it's trying to change careers. Right now, I working as a IT technician. I do whatever, any hardware. I done everything, software, and yep, that's where I might need some help. I build my own web page. I did my videos when Synthesia came out. I need to change those videos. So now we have a problem with the AI. Everything changed. All my plans that I had before changed with you guys.
That's awesome. All right.
Everything changed.
Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you,
Robert Smith, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Okay. I am extremely new to this group, and I am basically open to learning. And I'm wondering what you can get away with posting in the chat without breaking rules. I've got a YouTube channel, a website.
So there's a shameless self-promotion channel. So feel free to promote yourself in shameless self-promotion. And if you have cool stuff to show off, that's what show and tell's for. And then otherwise, I would say, you know, please introduce yourself in the introduce yourself section, and just, you know, connect with people in the community, comment, connect, share what you're learning. Everyone right now is trying to learn, not just yourself. And so you're not as far behind as you think, and you probably have more expertise than you think. So I would say just jump into the conversation, and all the other stuff will follow.
There's that many areas of this channel?
There are. Go to aisalon.mn.co, and that's the online community. And there's all sorts of different channels in there.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You got it. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. So, Anne, are you ready to talk about what we spent our weekend irresponsibly doing?
Absolutely. Gosh.
So let me tee it up, and then I'll hand
Yeah,
it
please
over.
do.
So about 10 days ago, it sort of just came up. Someone said, "Oh, you should do something, a 24-hour something," and I had just done one for the anniversary of ChatGPT, and I was like, I don't want to do that again. And then I thought, well, it's the week between Christmas and New Year's, and December 30th fell on a Saturday, so I said maybe we do something. I said, oh, maybe we'll do something for nonprofits. And so I immediately thought of Anne Murphy, because she's been very, very vocal about AI, but very much within the nonprofit space. And so we came up with this idea of the 24-hour GPT for Good challenge. And so it took place starting Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Pacific time. It was sponsored by the AI Salon and Empowered Fundraiser, Anne's organization. And the basic goal was, could we, in essentially an hour, take anyone, no matter what their background was or their technical expertise, and could we get them to build a customized, personalized GPT for the nonprofit of their choice? And so what the structure we came up with was, every 3 hours, either I or Anne would be giving one of these courses for a 24-hour period. And so it started at 6 in the morning, and then went 9, and then noon, and then 3, and then 6, and we went around the clock, and so I'm just going to turn it over to you, because it was really remarkable. But one of the things that was interesting was I did my lessons on TikTok, and did her lessons on Zoom. And what she had the benefit of is, because it was on Zoom, she had people that she could talk to and could ask questions face to face. So she had much more of a sense of what was actually going on. Mine was a bit more of a comedy monologue with an occasional answering chat, which is what my lives are anyway, right? So with that, I would love to just turn it over to you and just share your experience with what we did and what we accomplished, what our goals were. And then, I know there's a bunch of people in the live tonight that participated. Like, this group made this event happen, bar none. It essentially had little to do with Anne and myself. Like, there was a movement that was happening, and it was really quite inspiring. So Anne, tell them what we did and what you learned and what happened.
Okay, gosh, a lot happened. And, oh gosh, where do I start? So I want to say a little bit about AI and fundraising in the nonprofit sector, just to kind of set the tone for how important this work was. But I also want to give some shout outs, and I also want to announce who gets to choose the nonprofit, who wins $250. And then I want to show off some of the dope GPTs, which really is all 150 of them, but I had the unenviable job of choosing 5. And I'll share with you why I chose them. But before I launch into all that, I want to say that I'm so glad that I happened to tune in to Kyle's live about 1 minute before he shared with everybody that he would be in contact with me about doing a 24-hour challenge. So I have to say, oh, that sounds great.
No, I mentioned your name. I don't think you were in when I mentioned your name. So you had already been volunteered by the time you heard you were volunteered.
Exactly. But like, what a perfect blend of, what I'm passionate about and what I'm pretty good at, and like where my heart is headed with this whole AI movement. So it was like, I was super happy to do it. And little did I know that we would have support. Like I was fully like, clear the calendar. Everybody just start sliding food under the door. There's no way I'm doing this all full time. And we had so much support from the community. So I wanted to, let me just shout out some of the people who really made this event sing. Vicky Baptiste was incredible with like, kind of, yeah, thank you.
She was
to
amazing.
Vicky. You know, your ability to think clearly and strategically and just ask me and Kyle clear questions to get clear answers, I think was really helpful. You know how to phrase a question so that you just get the answer and we can all keep on trucking. And then the fact that you worked in real time to get that directory up and running. And if anyone hasn't, you know, if this hasn't like jumped into anyone's mind, there are not very many GPT directories out there in the world, particularly not as like trustworthy as ours is now. This is an incredibly valuable resource. And as people were, you know, pinging their GPTs in there, Vicky was like rapid fire getting them up and running onto the directory. So now this is an asset for the whole world. And Vicky, I know that you're like, well, this is what I do this kind of stuff, but please don't underestimate, like that was huge.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's remarkable. Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to share any highlights or lowlights from the week and weekend, and probably the last 24 hours too.
That's a hard one. It's especially while I have tears in my eyes.
Oh,
Like, I don't know. I was just always, you know, of the mind that if you can do something and you have the time and the ability, you just do it. So that's why I did it. Highlights and lowlights. I don't know. I think that last TikTok call with TikTok with Kyle was amazing. I can't imagine being the person doing the TikTok and not getting the feedback that we see either in the mod channel or in the comments or whatever. It's you're getting no feedback. How do you react to no feedback? I don't know how you do it, but the last one and staying up for the extra 30 minutes or whatever it was to see in the new year in Australia, it was just amazing. And I think they're doing it two different ways with TikTok and the Zoom. It really worked because there were two different ways for people to interact. People do interact in different ways. Some people prefer TikTok, some people prefer the Zoom. And it was just a great experience all around. Let's do it again next week.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Well, it turns out that Vicky, you've done a fair amount of these 24-hour, 48-hour things. So she had done this before. So where Ann and I were about to drive it into a wall, Vicky would go, no, just go a little bit this direction. So it's good.
It's a gift.
Thank you, Vicky. It was amazing.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Okay, so I also want to shout out Sherry Banks, who, the show and tell channel blows my mind. And I think I've shared with a couple of you that twice a day I allow myself the treat of going through the show and tell channel and just absorbing the art and the humor. And Sherry's artwork has always jumped off the page for me. So I asked her if she would be willing to generate images for GPT for Good. And, not very many hours later, we had an entire Google Drive full of images, not to mention the votes of confidence and enthusiasm and getting out the vote to get people to the event. So Sherry, I wanted to say thank you to you and ask you if you have any highlights to share from your experience.
Oh, thank you. I don't think I did enough, so it was an honor. So thank you. I went to just one breakout because I was doing my other stuff because something amazing happened, as you guys know, that I was reached out. And to see the collaboration and just everybody coming together, it was, if there's not a love right here, the heart was beating hard. So lots of collaboration on both parts, lots of humor, and I just thank you again. So Thank
No.
you guys. You did great.
Thank you, Sherry. That was awesome.
And Sherry, I think you really set the tone with the first one that you posted in either show and tell or the irregulars with the tags, the dog tags. I was like, oh, this is happening. This is good, and this is going to make an impact in the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you for letting me.
How about Serena for pretty much keeping us on schedule? Because I know how she feels about people being late. She did have to literally kick us out. We had been on for 2 hours and 58 minutes, and it was time for Kyle's TikTok. So Serena said we had to go. Is she here? Are you here? She may not be here. Anyway, well, thank you to her, because she was awesome, and a huge vote of confidence, and brainstorming with me ahead of time was extremely helpful.
Yeah, she was great. I think she came to most of the sessions too.
Oh yeah,
Jane-
by the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
by the way, this group of women who I'm in the process of shouting out, most of them were here for 24 hours. Like,
it was nuts.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Unbelievable.
Wait, Jane has a question.
Oh yeah, Jane.
Hi, I was just wondering if you guys could take a moment to explain what this event was, because those of us who weren't a part of it don't know what happened. And so I just kind of want to get caught up on what this event was, since it sounds like a lot of good stuff happened. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sorry, I skipped that part. So GPT, go ahead. Anyone? Okay. GPT for Good was a 24-hour challenge to build 100 custom GPTs for good. So for nonprofit causes, or for, things you're passionate about, for nonprofit workers, anything for social good was on the table. And what we did was, like Kyle said, we worked around we did a 24-hour kind of, I think I taught for a full 11 hours of the 12, to build custom GPTs. We did like the easier version in create mode, and then we did a more sophisticated version in configure. And then folks who completed GPTs, they submitted them to us on a Google form and shared what motivated them to create that GPT. And then Vicky Baptiste put them into a directory.
Yep. And
Does
yeah,
that help?
the goal was 100, and we ended up having 151 built. And it wasn't, we weren't building them. It was whoever showed up, we were teaching them, here's what ChatGPT is. Here's what a GPT is. A lot of times people literally didn't know what ChatGPT was. So there was a baseline of here's what ChatGPT is, then here's what these GPTs are. And then, if you've got a GPT Plus subscription, get ready. And we had a little Google sheet with a series of prompts, and we just walked them through building it. And it was, we did it so simply that the actual teaching of making the GPT was maybe 10 minutes. But the rest was just conversation and getting people up to speed.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any questions about what the event actually was? I'll say more about it in a minute here. Couple more. Kayla B, I wanted to shout out because she super generously offered GPTs that are incredibly valuable and in fact part of her business model. So I really appreciate that. And there were some excellent ones on there. I encourage everybody to, when you have a spare moment, scroll through the GPTs that were posted. Vicky just dropped the link in the chat. I think you'll be really impressed. And then, two more. Suzanne Welker Jurgens, I don't know if she's here right now, but Kayla, great. Kayla, do you want to, can you share a little bit about, what motivated you to share your GPTs?
And just what your experience was.
Yeah.
So this is like right up my alley. So I was so excited when this kind of came out because I'm a social worker. And so I'm all about helping nonprofits and providing resources for those communities that are underrepresented or marginalized in this whole process. And so I think one of my main goals in really getting into this AI space is that social workers that offer direct care to individuals can have access to these resources to really help those communities that need it the most. So my fear is that those are already marginalized by technology are going to be further, oppressed when these systems take off and they don't have access or the resources to them. So I really want to get it out there to those communities that they can benefit so much from this and they can grow and they can get up to speed. And this is where we need to do the most good. So I was happy to share some of the GPTs I created because that's really the goal of mine is to help those that need it the most. So thank you, Anne and Kyle, for putting this on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
awesome.
So grateful. Last but not least, oh wait, I was going to mention about Suzanne. So Suzanne, if you ever have a chance to go to any event with Suzanne, do it because she has the most strategic ways of organizing her AI projects. And we're just like, it's like eating out of the palm of her hand, the way she describes the way that she comes up with her ideas and how she project manages things all the way through her spark of an idea, all the way to like essentially go to market, whatever the version of that word is in this context. Is Suzanne here? Do we know? She's not? She is? And she may be actually trying to adjust her schedule right now. She just started a new job at Adobe. Oh, Suzanne is here? No, she's organized. She is so organized. Yes, her method has helped me so much too. We changed our whole process for creating GPTs in our company based on learning from Suzanne. And then last but not least, TK, I have two things for you. One is a huge shout out for your presence and the way you helped create a container over that 24 hours of just heart, all the reasons why you were there. The beginner's mindset you bring is so awesome. Some of the use cases that you shared in a previous meeting with a few of us about what you're thinking about doing with museums, super innovative, so inspiring to all of us. The fact that you stayed around the clock is amazing. And I was curious if you could share a little bit about what your experience was like. And also, can you just say a smidgen bit about your family's connection and what motivated the building of your GPTs?
Yes. First, I do want to say thank you so much, Kyle and Anne, for everything that you guys do, Kyle, of this community that you've built here and things, and Anne for your connection and guidance and things too. And Vicki wasn't just the person building the website. I was watching her because I was in each session, at least a good chunk of each session around the clock. She was interacting with people. She was helping people. She was volunteering to help people offline. I mean, it was so much more than the website. It was, and she kept me going. She was the cheerleader for everybody. And so I really wanted to make sure that I said that aloud in front of a group. And things. So yeah, so I came stumbling into this group a couple months ago and stumbling into this event, being one of the newer kids in everything. But I have a long, strong background with the Minnesota Firefighters Museum. My father wrote the histories of the Minneapolis and St. Paul fire departments. And so I grew up around firefighting, and I used to serve on their board and things like that. So that's who I chose to assist sort of in general for this event. And it was funny because I thought I was going to start out just doing 1 or 2 GPTs, and I had a list of about 8 possibilities of things to do. And it was like the minute this thing started and watching everybody else and some of their just feeding off their energy and seeing some of the things that they were talking about and everything else, suddenly there was this explosion of ideas. I think I had 40 different GPTs identified that I could have made that night. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get that done. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could do like 8. That was, and then suddenly there were 20. And, you know, it was just, I didn't mean to, you know, sort of, but it just, you know, it just sort of kept going. I couldn't go to sleep. You know, I wanted to make the next one and the next one and the next one. And at first I was a little panicked the next day because I looked back on my stuff and I was like, oh my God, I did 4 of the same GPTs. And then I went back and I looked at them and I realized no, because I did 4 educational ones, but 2 are front end ones, client facing, and 2 are back end ones. And they're all very different. You know, one of the back end ones I had uploaded. I was at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm uploading the Minnesota State guidelines on what kids should be learning at K through 6 into the GPT and then merging it with fire service. And I'm like, you know, what am I doing? But it was just, I couldn't stop. It was just like, you know, this snowball kind of thing. So it was an incredible experience creatively from that point. And I'm eternally grateful for that. So thank you all.
Can we mention that she did panic when she got an email from OpenAI saying, what the heck are you doing? And why are you creating all these GPTs?
Yeah, so I got put on the naughty list. I got put on timeout by OpenAI 6 times, in which I couldn't, like, for a half hour, 2 hours, do anything. And then after the 4th time, they sent me a letter, it's around here somewhere, that I had to fill out this form saying, why aren't you using our free version of 3.5 and what exactly are you doing? And I'm like,
Really?
oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got put on the naughty list. I've got the form around here. I'll have to send it or post it in the group or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, I'm like, okay, nobody told me about this part of things. Yeah, I got put on the naughty list.
You
So-
put on the F around and find out list. That's when you
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And unless you think TK's an overachiever, she's not. She came to the 3 a.m., the final session, and she said, I can't make any more. I'm just going to watch. So she wasn't making GPTs all 24 hours, just like 22 and a half. So, you know, black her.
I think you should frame that letter. I mean, that's like a real bragging point that you got a cease and desist letter from Sam Altman.
Yeah.
You know, a brush with fame. Well, TK's, you know, being so prolific paid off because our prize was allocated as a raffle, and so every GPT you entered gave you a chance at winning the $250 gift for your favorite nonprofit. And so TK, nicely done. Yours
Shut
came
up.
up. Yeah.
Shut up.
And so I suspect I have a guess at the general purpose cause that you would choose, but
Yes.
if you know already who you would donate it to, we would love,
Oh, yeah.
love to hear about it.
Yes. Well, the Minnesota Firefighters Museum. So yes, absolutely.
Yay. Well, congratulations. I will follow up with you on the details of that, and what a well-deserved
Thank you.
gift. Yeah, you rocked.
Yay. I'm excited.
So wait, so that's why she did 20, just to up her
No.
her percentage? I see how this works. I thought we were doing good here, no? Wait, you're muted, TK.
Sorry. I didn't know that it was a per entry thing. I know. I didn't know. I didn't even know that you guys were going to do a drawing. I thought you guys were going to do it some other way. So no, that was not. It was
We
literally.
know.
It was
No,
the
no.
ADHD, ADHD thing that kicked in, and I couldn't stop. You know, when you get in
It's
the
so
hyper
awesome.
focus.
No, it's really amazing. It really is just amazing.
Kyle, do we have a few more minutes?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, good. So a couple of things. I do want to show off some GPTs that I particularly love, but I wanted to say a couple of observations from this experience. One is, you know, I went, you know, as like 2023 turned into 2024. I was really leaning into 2024 as the year of adoption and implementation. and of generative AI. And then like I kind of got cold feet and I thought, no, it's not adoption and implementation year. It's still like naysayer year and education year. And, you know, it's gonna be another year of like kind of pushing the rock uphill. But, you know, through this event, I feel like I've cracked the code a little bit on what it's going to take to get more people to adopt generative AI. And these are the things that really stood out for me. One is that these GPTs and this tech was important to people. So there was something about the end goal that was really important and that got people through any of that like frustration barrier feeling. You know, we talked in my sessions about the kind of like the muscles that we build for being resilient and how like that has a ripple effect too, and how like it's so bonding when somebody says to you, well, it was working this way and then it stopped working, so I don't want to use it anymore. And those of us in here are like, yeah, totally, that's the name of the game. They're all janky POSs. and that's just what the game is here. And so, you know, whatever frustration barriers we all ran into, it was like, you know what, I'm going to power through this because this is important to me. Then of course, it didn't hurt that everybody was helping each other in the chat. And like, you know, like TK said, like Vicky's offering to people to help them offline, and just like really warm, you know, landing pad, just even in the chat. So being important to people, I think is critical and really gets us through that hard part. Then the willingness to have a beginner's mindset. One of the things I think it probably stems from, Kyle, the core values that you share every time is like people's willingness to show up and be vulnerable and say like, I'm not a pro. I'm not an expert, you know, and we're always saying, don't sweat, nobody's an expert. But, you know, lots of us would prefer to roll into any endeavor being pretty good at it, right? I'm not like, you know what I want to do? I want to be a physicist. Like, I'm not good at that. I don't want to do the things I'm not good at. Sherry, you and I don't want to learn to change my oil. I don't want to, because I'm not going to be good at it. So there's a vulnerability, but one of the things that I love the most is in a couple of the sessions, I asked people to rank on a scale of 1 to 5 how they felt about their GPT. Is it like non-starter? Is it ready to rock? And my favorite part was that some people wrote 1. And it was like, how beautiful is it that people were able to say, you know what, mine is, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. And like that you have this community where people could say that. It was just, and that's my favorite thing. It's like when someone else says, mine is a 1, it's not okay. And then you see 3 or 4 other people type 1. It's like, yes, this is what we want. We want everybody to feel comfortable being bad at this because there's always another tool. There's always another skill to develop. So willingness to have a beginner's mindset and having it be important. And then the other one is friendship. I think that's the thing that jumped off the page for me the most. It's like, yes, community, and also like bona fide, genuine friendship. The fact that people can feel comfortable and warm and invested in one another's success, like that is what's going to help people adopt all this. And I know that's hard to scale. Like in a large company, we're not all going to be able to rely on, hey, let's get some friendship going. And then we're all going to be able to adopt AI. But the more empathetic we all are as leaders, because like it or not, we are all leaders in this space now. The fact that you're here on this call, even right now, if that's the only thing you did in this whole AI revolution as of now, you are now a leader in the AI space. So those 3 things, that it's important that there's a willingness to have a beginner's mindset and that there's friendship. Also, I think can be translated as psychological safety, like at work, people having psychological safety. So those were the learnings that I took away that, you know, boy, oh boy, I don't know if I would have gotten to this point, those revelations, without this experience. So I'm super grateful to everyone who came and supported one another and were willing to be vulnerable. I wanted to say a smidgen about the role of AI in the nonprofit sector, because I think it kind of provides a context for why what we did was not just feel good, it was impactful. So, you know, one of the biggest things about the success of the nonprofit sector is stakeholder trust. You know, they have to know us, they have to like us, and they have to trust us. And, you know, stakeholder trust in the nonprofit sector is always under, like, there's always something, right? There's the overhead myth. There's thinking that we don't run, you know, well-run businesses. There's thinking that we're old school and antiquated. But in fact, we've been doing like predictive analytics, and AI has been around for forever and a day. But when Gen AI hit the scene and became a really big deal, we got out in front of it, and we have a really, really good framework. It's called the Framework Toward Responsible AI in Fundraising. And I encourage you, so you can find that at fundraising.ai. I encourage you to check out that framework, because I find it to be very, like, it quells people's nervousness about, like, are there any guardrails in this whole generative AI thing? And this will point out, like, here are some of the top concerns, and here's how you can approach it. And it applies to any industry. So we're out there, like, trying to protect stakeholder trust, but we know that we're at this juncture where, like, we also, you know, we have the opportunity to grow it, right, through personalization and deeper engagement and, you know, better outreach and knowing our donors better. But we also have this moment where we really could squander stakeholder trust. Like, data privacy and security is a huge, huge challenge. Bias and hallucinations, explainability. I heard did the mechanics group talk about explainability in the last session? One of the guilds talked about explainability and transparency. And then one of the biggest problemos, the biggest challenges, is people thinking that it just doesn't work, right? That the content is bad, that, you know, that the data analysis is poor, et cetera, et cetera. But here we are in our group, and we proved, yep, well, some of these things are indeed disappointing sometimes, but that's not going to get in the way of building these tools that allow people to connect with the nonprofits and the causes they loved, like, in new ways, in an easier way, maybe in a lighter way, in a different way. So I really feel like we made this huge contribution to responsible AI in the nonprofit sector and to building stakeholder trust. So kudos, good job. Again, not just a feel-good thing, but the feel-good stuff is incredibly important.
Yep. Let me say
Please.
something. There was something else about one of the things that struck me when we were about halfway through this was that the thing that AI does is it allows you to put in a minimum amount of input for, like, a disproportionately powerful amount of output. And the fact that GPTs were built the way they were, that you didn't have to go to that configure pane first and explain to people what a prompt was. We could literally just say, I want a GPT for my nonprofit at this website that explains it to people. And then it built that, and people could play with it like that. We're in a different, like, we're just in a different mode. And like, a lot of the feedback that I got was, you know, some of it was, I didn't even know what GPTs were. I didn't know they were a thing. But the other thing was, I had no idea I could make something that powerful that easily. And for me, that was just like, oh, right. Like, I mean, the fact that we could throw this event together in 9 days, I mean, part of it was logistics, but the fact that the technology, even as janky as it is at a place where you can take someone who's never done any software development before, and they can now reach out to their nonprofit and say, I built this for you.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's huge, incredibly empowering. Let me share a couple of resources that are still available out there, and then I want to highlight some of the GPTs that really jumped off the page for me. So let's see, we've got, if you still have GPTs to submit, you can do that through the website that Vicki already posted. So GPTs can still be submitted there. Please do check out the directory, because your heart will sing when you see what people have built.
Wait, they can't be submitted through the website because I took the link off because I thought we had a deadline.
Oh, okay. Okay, yes, disregard.
You can,
Yeah.
I mean, it's your game, your rules, but they just can't go through the website. So you just have to give them another link.
Okay, perfect. So, okay. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but
Did I say we put this together in 9 days?
yeah, exactly. We didn't have time for all
You mentioned there's a
contingencies.
degree of ADHD involved as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but the website is out there for your viewing pleasure, and please do connect your friends. And then I wanted to share, I made a GPT. It's not done yet, but it's going to have all of the training materials, the prompt starters, and it's actually going to help you build. It's going to ask you some questions about why you want to. I took Suzanne's, process of, how she thinks about why are you building something. I'm going to just drop this into the chat. Again, it's not quite done yet because I need to add the recordings. But actually, and Kyle, I think, has already posted those, but does this work? Yes, there we go. So assuming that I actually clicked all the right buttons, that's available to you. It'll have the training materials, the prompt starter, workshop recordings. I'll just keep adding stuff as time goes by. So that's available to you.
Yeah, and the recordings, I don't have Anne's Zoom recordings up there, but I'll get them up tonight or tomorrow morning. But the recordings for these are going to be on the AI Salon YouTube channel. There's a playlist for GPT for Good. Also, if you go to the salon.ai, one of the links there is the prompt starter sheet itself, the Google Doc that we walked everyone through. So if you want to build a GPT for a nonprofit and follow what we did, that document's there. And Anne's also built it into the GPT she just shared with you. But if you just want the Google Doc with the instructions that we shared with people on Saturday and Sunday, that's at the salon.ai.
And basically that will allow you to spin up a GPT in about 5 minutes. A really good one, by the way. And then we made other level good ones. So, all right, I'm going to screen share and show you some of my favorite GPTs. Let's see here. Okay, share. You can see my GPT that's open right now?
No.
Oh, view tab.
Now we can.
Good?
Yeah, that's the Where Tech Meets Heart, that one.
Okay, yes. Okay, so here is one of my very favorites, Social Coach. This aids in enhancing communication skills, especially for the introverted. And
Wait,
here's
we're not seeing that. We're seeing your GPT.
Okay, let's see. What do
You can
see
share
now?
you can share your whole window. Just unshare.
Okay.
And then go back to share, and then at the top tab, you have to click on the right where it says share your whole window.
Oh, okay. Time out. I'm in the same boat as I hardly ever use okay, Chrome tab, Citrus tab. I don't know. We're gonna do this, and that may work just once. Okay, do you see Social Coach? Oh, no.
Yes. Yes.
Social coach. Okay. So hold on, everybody. Okay. What do you see? Do you see the whole screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
we see social coach. Yes.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so here's why I love this so much. One of the things about being in the nonprofit sector and working with donors is that a lot of times people feel like our whole like society has put, it's capitalism, right? Donors are up here, nonprofit and nonprofit leaders are here, fundraisers are here, and staff are here. Like that's how we think about the power structure, and it can be extremely intimidating. And a tool like this that can help anyone who needs to kind of get themselves mentally prepared to go to an event is incredibly helpful, because our whole like what we need to see and be seen by each other. Like that's what humans crave and need. And when we're hoping that somebody's going to invest in our organization, it's oftentimes not just about like the metrics and the KPIs of the number of people they've helped or the number of bunnies they've saved, but it's also about, do I trust the leadership? Do I know the staff? Do I believe that they're doing a good job with my money? So this one really jumped off the page as like very universally helpful to nonprofit staff. And it's put together like with extra resources. How can I express myself better? How can you suggest ways to improve my speaking? Like this is just really, really good. And it resonated with me personally because I probably don't sound like an introvert, but I'm pretty introverted, and what exhausts me is like, my social battery goes down pretty fast. And so I have all these techniques and tactics for getting ready for donor events, which is I've spent most of my life needing to do. If I had this tool back in the day, oh my goodness gracious, my life would have been so much easier. So Lunastick, I just really, really appreciate this GPT, and I'm really glad that you made it. And I hope that lots of people avail themselves of this tool. So really, really excellent. Kudos to you for that.
Can you demonstrate it a little bit more directly?
Sure. Yeah. How about this? How do I start a conversation at a party? Oh, my bad. Hold on. Geez, sorry. How do I get back to where I can actually manipulate the GPT? Because I'm looking at it on the screen. Hold on, everybody. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay. How can I start a conversation at a party? See, and this is banger advice. You want to help other people, again, feel seen, give them a compliment, share a comment with them, introduce yourself. It's like, oh my goodness gracious. Oftentimes we're looking for like, what is my job at an event? And sometimes we don't have a job. You can consider your job to introduce yourself to somebody who's standing by themselves. So these are really good pieces of advice. Now, how about how can I improve my social? How about my skills to speak in a group? Because that was one of the starter questions. Observe and learn. Start small, prepare and practice, open-ended questions. So, I mean, this is, again, really good, really helpful advice. And I didn't have to read 87 self-help books or look on all the web pages, watch all the videos, and find all the personal development coaches. I just had to go to Lunastick's GPT.
And Daisy, Lunastick just said it has built-in accessibility features too. And with upgraded tech, eventually we will be able to be used in AR environments. So imagine being able to be at a party and see this advice like real time while you're at the party.
Oh, nice, Daisy. I would like to learn about the accessibility features at some point. Maybe
Ken and Kayla have their hands raised.
I see that. So Ken, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I really like these GPTs, and I appreciate you showing them to us and demonstrating them. And I'm just kind of wondering, since you and Kyle have gotten a chance to really sit down and build a lot of GPTs and kind of get really in the weeds with them, I'm wondering where you see, and you both have highlighted a lot of the good uses of GPTs, but I'm wondering where you see improvements in GPTs as a whole can be made by OpenAI, and what you would like to see implemented in them, and maybe like a future update.
Kyle, you wanna take that, and I'll chime in if needed.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I have a couple of big ones, Ken. The biggest one is right now to make a GPT and to use a GPT, you have to pay the $20 a month subscription to OpenAI to do it. It is my hope. It's a thin hope, but it is my hope that when OpenAI builds the GPT store, that there will be some sort of runtime module that people will be able to use these things without having to pay the $20 a month, because I think that's gonna squash adoption of the GPTs themselves. The second one that's the biggie for me is that almost every time I work with someone that makes a GPT, almost the first thing they say is, well, wait, how do I put this on my website? People want to be able to embed these on their website. And so it's my hope also that one of the things the GPT store does is has an embed code so that you can take your GPT and embed it in the site. Those two things in particular, and they're both accessibility issues, right? If we have to go to OpenAI and we have to pay the $20, that's going to sort of limit adoption. Yeah.
And WordPress, just put it into that on the website. So I'm using it for SEO.
You're just putting it in an X frame. Yeah, you can do it like that, but it's just not as easy as, here's an embed code, and it's sort of living in.
That's what it's on the front end.
Yeah.
Back end where you sees it.
Oh yeah, that's great. Great.
I would say, Ken, a couple of other things that I would really like to see. I get lots of folks in one of my other AI groups who really do need to see, they're building GPTs where they really do need to see how people are interacting with them on the back end. And right now that's not possible. I also think that if the automations were less janky, like they're going to be, the automations from the GPTs to elsewhere and vice versa, when those get more user friendly, I think that's going to be a huge benefit. In general, I see the GPTs or other chatbot type, portals, taking the place of websites. And so, however these can become a heck of a lot more accessible, I think is really no time like the present.
There's also, they also right now have a bit of an elitist kind of interface where they assume that you know what to prompt. Now, the pre-written conversation starter questions you can add, if you're clever with how you write those, you can turn it into more of an application where you just have, one starter question in there that says, let's get started. And then the GPT takes over and walks you through it. But there should be an easier way for when someone comes to a GPT, that the GPT welcomes them in and tells them what it's about. Because right now it's up to everyone to sort of discover what's in there. Like Daisy Lunastick's thing, it's got accessibility features. Okay, there's no way we would know that unless we knew to ask for them or we stumbled upon them, right? As opposed to it being revealed.
Yeah. And you can work through some of those kind of quirks in the configure side, but I would say that another thing I would love to see a fast improvement on, Ken, would be that the repeatability of the configure, the instructions, like sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. And so you, right when you think you've cracked the code, in fact, a note I wanted to share is that every once in a while we should all go in and play with our own GPT, because they're going to drift. And you know, it's not the end of the world if a user kind of gets to a dead end with your GPT, but if you check it every once in a while, that's a good idea, because they're going to stop working as perfectly as they work today.
Yep. Lunastick says she creates tech docs for all of her GPTs, but she's behind on the GPT for good ones. So slacker. She's made 74 of these things. So Kayla, you have a question?
Yeah, so I love her GPT because I'm an introvert, so I definitely need it. But my question is, have you tried it in the conversation mode to see if it'll simulate a social conversation with you?
I don't know. Daisy, have you tried that yet? I don't know if you're able to talk, Daisy.
I've only used it through text. I haven't used it through voice, but I do interact with it quite frequently.
Nice.
Huh.
Good job.
I just think if like on the app, if you're having a conversation, say, hey, will you simulate a social conversation with me to help me improve my skills? I think that just could be an added feature.
Yeah, that'd be a huge one. I think that's a really good idea. And that was also one of the things I didn't always get to it in my sessions because we didn't have it written down on the sheet, but a lot of people don't know that the iOS and Android the ChatGPT apps have conversation mode. A lot of people don't know that that's there. And if you've got access to GPTs, you can put conversation mode in within a GPT. So you could be having a conversation with, you know, your sales coach that's trained on your company's sales, you know, training data. So yeah, that's a really powerful one.
Great idea, Kayla. Thank you very much.
Roger.
So Kyle, I'm pretty clear. I'm not endorsing this as a good path forward, but this is the obvious path forward for the question of people needing to have a GPT plus, you know, license, whatever you call it, to use these things, is what everyone else in the internet the last 20 years has done, which is you have ads for free and you have no ads for
pay. Yeah.
And why they didn't think of that before they even released this thing, to just bake in an ad capability, and if you're willing to do that, then you can use them for free. I mean, maybe not the development side, but I say the important part is the deployment side, right?
Yep.
It's people who want to use these things. And yes, Ken, I know.
Yeah, Ken, no, not ads. Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I hope there's a better alternative, but that one just seems so obvious because it's what everybody does.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Until the GPT store comes out, we really don't know. Someone at OpenAI has to be thinking about, you know, this is an issue, right? Hopefully they're not just thinking this is the way we can sell more subscriptions, because it really does kind of stifle the adoption, in my opinion.
Well, there are sort of two tiers to that, right? One is just enough ads to cover the cost. So basically, you know, makes up the difference between someone having a GPT plus account and not. And the other is ads for the sake of ad revenue.
Right,
you know,
right.
Yeah. There, I totally agree with Ken's no, let's not go there. But having, you know, just enough to make these things be free to people, yeah, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world.
Well, and that's essentially what Copilot is, right? And Copilot's going to have their version of GPTs are called Copilots, and it'll be interesting to see if those are actually cross compatible. That'll be curious to see. Eric Sanner, thanks, Roger. That was great.
Roger, I wanna pile on the pushing back against the ads. Do you remember? do you remember when corporations started funding textbooks, and so math questions said things like, "How many pairs of Nike sneakers will it take Sally to collect before she wins the Nike sneaker collection competition?" So your results. And how about when you watch an NFL game on TV and they say, "Oh, well, we really love our M&M candies up here in the booth, and we're at the Wrigley Field and all this nonsense." And how's it going to be when you ask ChatGPT a question and it starts, instead of giving you the smartest answer or the best answer, it starts placing products and services from entities that you're not interested in?
Well, see, the thing
or
about
even worse, you're like addicted to.
Yeah. The thing about that kind of sponsorship, Eric, is you can't just do it a little. Like you have to push it to the extreme, and then you have NASCAR,
Yeah.
where everything's the ad.
So I want to get to a couple of these other GPTs, but I did want to share that Roger and Eric and others, if you want to continue the debate on ads versus no ads, we do have a Saturday group that lasts for a full 2 hours long. We meet at noon on Saturdays to talk about GPTs and other stuff. So feel free, because we do love a good debate in there. So, and anyone else too. I'd love to have you join us. Okay, I want to show off one of Suzanne's, because if we do this right, we're going to see some of her kind of deluxe moves that she does with her GPTs. So let's see here. I'm going to do Friends of Save a Bunny. And so Suzanne is really generous with her prompting, well, everything, but if she may be willing to share how she sets up her configure, so that she's got some really nice things going on. So let me see. Let's start with, how can I adopt a rabbit from Save a Bunny? So she tells, I'll narrate while we go. So she tells her GPTs, obviously she puts the website in because it needs that, but she reiterates again and again throughout the configure screen to use Bing to search. When she wants it to go out and do a search, she tells it that. And I can't remember why that works so well, but I just wanted to share that that's what she does. So let me scroll. I did a quick search for more information. Here's what I discovered. Okay, so it gives you a rundown of exactly the question that you asked. Then what Suzanne does is she has in her configure where it says, you know, if the person wants more information about ... tell them, you know, always remind them of what the website is where you get that information, which is really cool. And then the other thing she does is, you know, Kyle, we talked about having a donate now thing in there, encouraging people to give. She also included, like whenever you talk about donating, it's sometimes really nice to have like a little blurb about what it does and that it's a 501.
Oh, nice. That's really nice.
To learn more, visit blah, blah, blah. And then she always does this.
Very cool.
Yeah, and if she's promoting something, you know, one of her offers, she'll say that in there too. But in this case, or she'll say, if you encounter any problems with the GPT, reach out to me, because she knows how fast these things change. So she has just these like basic little flares that she puts in there, I think take it to another level. So there's like a little piece of code language that you put in to get this. And then the other thing to keep in mind is just, you know, the like to learn more, and like if somebody wants to take a deeper dive into how to adopt a bunny, she puts the specific email address there. And the other thing that she does that I think is really nice, and I've mimicked this in mine, it works about 50% of the time, is sometimes the GPTs get to like a stopping point in the conversation. And to Kyle's point, you're like, well, what do I do now? Like, how would the user who's unacquainted with a GPT know, oh, what I'm supposed to do now is I'm supposed to ask another question. So when you say, what additional information can I provide about Save a Bunny, then the user can say, I'd like to know if Save a Bunny also adopts turtles. And I'm guessing that we're going to get a real answer because she sent it out to Bing to be double dog sure. Does not mention adoption of services for turtles, other animals for the website. And she has in her GPT, if you don't know the answer, tell the user that you don't know the answer.
Yep.
So
that's really
yeah.
slick.
Isn't that good?
Yep, it's really slick.
She's really good. And like I said, she does have Suzanne being Suzanne, she has a template for her GPTs. Okay.
Well, she also at one of Anne's weekend GPT things, Suzanne presented some best practices, and one of her best practices that I think is really good. My ADD makes it not possible for me to do, but but for everyone else, as you modify the prompts in your GPT, save them in an external document so that you have a version history of all your prompts. Because one of the things that GPTs in particular are really bad about, there's a fair amount of the prompt is behind the scenes. And so sometimes you'll lose stuff and it's hard to go back. And so if you have a history of, how you got there, it's a lot easier to go back if you forgot, right? So.
Yeah, and one of the things that I hesitate to share is that occasionally your whole GPT just goes poof.
Yeah.
I think it happened to TK. I think it happened to Corey. It just happens, and it's like, if you've got some of it written down, that's going to be helpful. Okay. Do you guys see Girls Who Code Navigator?
We just see, no. Oh yeah, now we do.
Okay. So Girls Who Code Navigator, I like a couple of things about this a lot. One is I started a GPT during the challenge for Girls Who Code, but their donate page wasn't working, which was really, really bad timing at that exact day of the year. But so I really appreciated that Elena got hers up and running. I also liked the language that she put in front of fan created guide, because one of the things we talked about quite a bit was, how would the nonprofit feel about us making these GPTs? And it was like, well, if we're using their website, outward facing, publicly available information, it really, should be no beef. But, let's not use their logo per se. And then I think, was it Cavruno who came up with
I think it was Cavruno who came up with it. And the minute she did, I'm like, that's genius.
Genius.
Because like calling it a fan generated GPT, like you can now with confidence reach out to that nonprofit and go, hey, I'm a fan. I made this thing that are going to drive people to your organization. And it's just a fan generated thing. And if the nonprofit's smart, they'll sort of adopt it and say, come on in and let us help you. Right. And teach us what you did. But it really just makes it a bit safer for the person to be able to share that.
Absolutely. Then I wanted to introduce this one because of the do you see Volunteer Pathfinder?
Yes.
Yes. So this is one of Vicky's, correct, Vicky? Your 3Bs digital. I wanted to share it.
My microphone. Yes, that's me.
Okay, perfect. Well, actually, Vicky, do you want to talk about this one? I have thoughts and feelings, but do you want to talk about why you built one for finding volunteers and kind of onboarding them?
Yeah, I can do that. I used to work for a nonprofit back in the day, and one of my jobs was to interview volunteers. And like people think, oh yeah, you just go and get a volunteer because the volunteers want to help. And when you're working with specific causes, especially things like, say, for instance, you have a domestic violence program, you have to be really careful about the volunteers that you're allowing into your organization. So I thought it would be a good idea to create a checklist for getting the perfect volunteers. And if you get the perfect volunteer, you don't have to interview as many volunteers because they tend to stay around. So this does go through, like, you'll notice there's not like your typical 4 questions. So it does go through like a path. And me being like the ADHD type, it just goes through a couple of questions at a time, so you don't get the whole lot spewed at you all at once. And it does, unfortunately, it does take up like a lot of your prompts all in one go, so you wouldn't want to ask it too many questions on the way through. But it's pretty thorough, and it does cover everything that you would want to you would want to know, like before the volunteer interview, like about the actual position, and then the things that you want to ask, and then things that you would want to consider afterwards. So if you go through it now, it's going to take a heck of a lot of time, but that's the kind of things that it goes through, and it always if
Yeah.
you're ready to move on.
I think that's really slick. Like notice that in the response, I assume you said something about Markdown, like format it with Markdown, because notice how it's got bold things and bullet
Yeah.
points that makes it easier to read. Like these are kind of little nuances and hacks that just it makes it much more like, you know, application development than just, you know, a typewriter, which is great.
Yeah, and it's something like you can. I always forget, like with GPTs, like you can like put it away and come back. It's not like your brain where if you stop doing something, you'll forget about it. With a GPT, you can like put it aside and come back to it later, and it'll still remember where where you were. So yeah, it's good.
So one of the reasons why I love this GPT so much is that when you don't do that pre-work, when you're recruiting volunteers, it is a pay me now or pay me later situation. Most nonprofit boards struggle with general like fundamentals of group process. And sometimes it's because you have someone who's not a team player, and you can totally suss that out if you do the work ahead of time. And like most people don't even know that. It seems simple, but if you were a volunteer on a board, or you got put on the board development committee, or you were thinking about joining a board, or you were a new executive director and you had this GPT, it'd be like, oh, I need to figure out what the roles and responsibilities are. Then, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this. I was supposed to do an interview. Then I'm supposed to make sure that they are onboarded properly. Like these are basic steps that people miss. I don't know. If people were pretty accustomed to using GPTs, they would go in there, they would figure it out, and then we would have like a big, again, it's like the benefit of these things is real. This is not just, you know, warm fuzzies. And then I have one more that I want to show because I think it demonstrates how much heart went into these GPTs. And oopsie, hold on one second. It was in, I'll just share like a little bit of backstory, is that the first couple of GPTs that people told me and Kyle about were so moving that we were in tears before he and I even started this project. You know, it was like in the first 5 minutes of planning for this thing, we were like, I mean, these are all, they come absolutely positively from the heart. Now, Niles was in many, many of the sessions. And what was interesting to me was, of course, I learned about his family history and what he had been through in 2023 with his family members who were suffering from Alzheimer's disease. But then when I went and looked at the GPTs, there were 3 of us who were impacted by Alzheimer's disease. And then when we were talking about it in the groups, there were other people who were impacted by Alzheimer's disease. And it was like, again, back to that friendship piece of knowing that you're in the same boat as somebody else is such a balm. It's such a balm to the soul. And it was really moving to me to see this effort, because I knew exactly where it came from. You know, I knew exactly what are the early signs. Like, wow, we didn't know when my mom was sick. We didn't know what was going on. All we knew was that something, right? I didn't know what, we didn't know. I want support. Please show me how. When you're when you're under duress, it's awfully hard to ask for support. You don't even know it's out there. You feel like you're on an island. But here are these tools now at the ready, our little agents that we have, right? There's going to come a time where we wake up in the morning and all we do is decide which agent we're going to interact with, right? And there's going to be something like this out there for us. You know, what happens when one of your family members is acting out of character? And it goes to supporting the Alzheimer's Association.
Yeah, beautiful.
Honestly, what more do you want?
Yeah. There's also one of the other GPTs that I think was actually made before we kicked off the thing, was the woman, I forget her name, who hasn't seen her son in 16 years. and used the image generating capabilities to take a picture of her son and age him up 16 years. Here's what he'd look like. Oh, sorry. You know,
Yeah.
These are powerful tools, but because you're 100% removing technical programming from the requirement for making them, it's allowing people to express themselves with application development, like creative expression in a powerful application. And that's like, I don't think that's ever been possible. And so, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, the who wrote The Common Bond, Good or Bad? You know, it's like, again, it goes back to like the tech and the heart and where they meet in the middle. And, you know, Kyle got this phrase, amplifying our humanity, stuck in my brain very, very early. And it was like, well, shit, this is all worth it.
Yep.
It's all worth it. So that's what I wanted to share with everybody. You are awesome. These are incredibly important. Yeah. Incredibly important work that we did. And I'm grateful to all of you for the opportunity.
Yeah. I saw Daisy in here. Was anyone else, did anyone else participate at the event that you know, is here that would like to share anything? Just raise your hand and would love to hear from you. Yeah, Roger.
Yeah. So something that strikes me about these is here in this group that started off as the AI artist salon and was really interested, you know, focused a lot on visual stuff, is they're all pure text. Is it difficult to make them more graphical and colorful and stuff like that? Or, you know, why I'm going naturally from a bunch of artsy sort of people? Why are these things so black and white and texty?
They're not all. My one for the donkey, Save a Donkey Foundation. Whenever it says a donate, it makes a picture of a donkey face. so it's just a matter of you know, of choosing to be creative with it. I think very quickly in 2024, Roger, these models are going to go true multimodal, where the inputs are not just text and the outputs are not just text, and it's a lot more fluid interfaces. So I don't think we're going to be trapped in the sort of text paradigm for that long. That's
a good point. That as the models that everybody's using just sort of routinely become multimodal, then it'll be a lot. The barrier to graphic text is going to be pretty much be erased.
Yeah. I also like, if I think about the Alzheimer's one, as we're gonna quickly, like, there's already pieces of it there now, but we're gonna quickly get to the point where you can create an avatar of yourself that sounds like you, looks like you, and someone can interact with you. So you could create a virtual version of yourself for, you know, your parent that has Alzheimer's, so they have someone to interact with that's infinitely patient and things like that. So I think we very quickly go from sort of text advice and text things to just true multimedia experiences, both on the input side and the output side. I think it's going to happen pretty quickly this year.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Danielle.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey, so I was one of those crazy folks that joined Kyle. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, yeah. There you go.
Okay, so I was one of the ones that joined Kyle for every single one of the times that you went live, and I found myself up at 3 o'clock in the morning and 12 and 3. Anyway, so but as we were making those GPTs, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make like 2 of them. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, yeah, woohoo. So I made 4, but that was good for me. But I found myself, the more that I made them, the more meaningful it seemed that they became. So I started off like, okay, well, here's a dog rescue, and then next I'm like, oh well, here's the great the Great Barrier Reef, and then here's the, child trafficking. And so I just found that the more that you got into it, the more the deeper you thought about it, I guess, the more that it made you think about what you could do with these. So that's all I wanted to share.
Awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful.
What's really cool is that there are all these research studies about the proximity effect with altruism. So when other people see this information about what we did here, it engenders in them an inclination to be altruistic. So like it goes deeper for us, which is awesome, and it also spreads out into the world. So yeah.
Well, and it's also, listen, anything that we can do that makes just decent use cases of AI more visible, right? We're still at a 20% of people have used GPT, 80% have not. Like, we're still so early, right? And so you can just assume that most people that you talk to don't even know what it is, much less what it makes possible. So anything we can do to just say, oh, it can do that? I didn't know it could do that. I got a lot of that. And you know what's funny? I got a lot of that from people who I see regularly on my TikToks, or I see regularly in the salon, that these are people that are sort of actively in the game, and they didn't quite get what GPTs were or how simple it was to build them, that there was something about this that was revelatory, even for someone who'd been in it for a while. So, all right. So,
thank you.
Any other thoughts? Thank you very much, Ann. That was awesome. Thank you for walking us through that and sharing your perspective. And thank you for everyone who participated in that. Why don't we take 5 minutes? Kay Hudson.
Hi, I'm Chris Bruno. I'm hiding behind Hudson. So first of all, thank you to everyone involved. You guys all killed it. And I just talk about, so I'm a PR, so I kind of talk about the spokes of PR and Amplify, and just in my little myopic world, just sharing what I did over the holidays, and to be able to post about ChatGPT for good within my company and my team. Even that little piece was, I think it got people to lean forward and kind of go, wow, 150 of these things were made for nonprofits and charities. And that's how some great people around the world chose to spend a day of their holiday. I just think that there's going to be a lot of things that come of this in those little pockets of our own little network that I think we have this great website now to point to. So thanks, Vicki, and thanks, Ann, and thanks, Kyle, and everyone and their passion. I will definitely turn up the volume on my GPTs. I was just kind of thinking of more like a way to amplify really small nonprofits, right? So if people Google their name, maybe a GPT associated with that brand will come up, right? So, there's just, there's a lot of little ways that this is powerful.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you for suggesting the fan created GPT. That went into that was good.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, Karuno, because that's inspiring, right? That we go out and we talk about it in our own little worlds, and people lean in like that, like you shared. That's awesome.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Well, everybody, Happy New Year. Nice way to kick off the new year. So thank you, Ann, for co-hosting and for sharing that. That was awesome. Thank you for everyone that's here. It amazes me that so many people are here. I know it's like right after the new year. It's like, oh, are we still doing these things? Yeah. We, it's still rolling. Like I kind of feel like we've had a day or two of reprise where there hasn't been gargantuan news for 3 or 4 days. It's like, okay, let's take a breath. But I would assume by the end of this week or the beginning of next, there'll be some new big news. So Anyway, great seeing you all. Thank you all. Have a very, very happy new year and prosperous new year. And thank you so much for everything you do to support this amazing community.
Yes, yes.
And thanks everyone here in Denver. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Don't forget AI Learning Lab is late tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta
Bye,
go.
guys.
Drink one for me, Kyle. Old
All right.
fashioned.
Stay classy. See you, Tobias.
Bye. Thanks.
We're heading over to Zeppelin
Happy New Year.
Station. Wanna hang out?